What's good, everybody? C4 here. Been a minute since we just sat down, talked some football. That's what I want to do today. Combine week. I'm going to have some videos dropping. I got quarterback rankings where we're talking about the combine winners and losers. And then, obviously it's like full-fledged draft prospect talk, positional rankings, mock drafts, all that stuff. And I was working on a secondary channel. Still am, but there's just been some barriers, some things that have just been frustrating that I don't really want to deal with. I don't know if I want to deal with it this year. So I'm probably going to keep a lot of that content, which I was planning on having a secondary channel for, here on the C4 YouTube channel. So I hope that, honestly, it shouldn't make that much of a difference. If you're clicking on these videos and enjoy these videos, you don't get to go anywhere else. They're just going to stay here. But one thing that happens at the Combine that isn't tied to the draft, that, well, kind of is, in this case, what I'm about to talk to. But all these general managers get together. And when all these general managers get together, they sit and talk shop. And that's when the media, I've seen CBS, seen the ESPN, talk about trades. What's more, trade click-worthy than the quarterback market. And Philadelphia, last offseason to last season, was linked with Deshaun Watson. Still kind of linked with Deshaun Watson. Linked with Russell Wilson. Should they trade for Russell Wilson? He could be available. And then out of nowhere, Kyler Murray, I guess, is a kind of thing. I think CBS literally was like, should the Eagles get Kyler Murray? I kind of want to just talk about my feelings on the state of the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback room. And just, because I get it every day. Anytime there's any pretty much article from a verified account that links any quarterback with the Philadelphia Eagles, I kind of get tagged in it, kind of have to respond to it. And I feel like just making one video right now, early, because things could happen, things could change. And my thoughts on it, my feeling on it. So for the Eagles quarterback room, well, we got Gardner Minshew. There was a point in time after that Jets victory last year. I want to see what Gardner Minshew had in the offense, because, I still think Gardner Minshew deserves as much of a chance to see if he could be a starting quarterback in the NFL, at least equal to Jalen Hurts does. I think Minshew had a raw deal, and his stats were pretty okay for the Jags team that he was surrounded on. He looked good in the Jets game, and I felt like there's still something there. And I just think, overall, I would go with Jalen Hurts. If you told me, C4, you have Jalen Hurts, Gardner Minshew, who are you going with? I'm going with Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts offers a little bit more upside in terms of his scrambling ability. And generally, arm talent on both quarterbacks is lackluster, underwhelming. So they're kind of the same in that department. Obviously, Minshew gets the memes and stuff like that. But push comes to shove, I just think one of the biggest things, and I'm going to say right now, very early in this video, this is not going to be a pro-Eagles for Jalen Hurts versus anti-Jalen Hurts on the Eagles type discussion, because, I'm past the day, I'm not trying to fill the role of the new EDP of saying just ridiculous things to the Philadelphia Eagles on the internet to get clicks. As it stands, if Jalen Hurts is the guy they're going with, I'm going to hope and pray that Jalen Hurts develops. He grinds. He puts in that work this offseason, all those cliches that get posted on the Eagles social media. I hope he does all that and more, and it can be our Francis quarterback. You know why? Because he's a great guy to root for. So he's the kind of guy I don't think he has it. I haven't thought he had it. You go back to one of my you literally go C4 most viewed videos, you see my reaction to Philadelphia drafting Jalen Hurts. Still, to a certain degree, I feel the exact same way about him as our quarterback today. And some of that I can admit is my arrogance, I would say, to get a feel for college prospects, because literally what I thought Jalen Hurts was as a QB prospect is kind of what we're seeing right now with the Philadelphia Eagles. From that, it's like justification that my opinion that was kind of negative on Jalen Hurts so far has been proved to be correct, which makes me feel good, but also makes me feel bad, because I don't think that's good enough. I don't think he's going to be the quarterback that can lead us and take us to the next level. But you look at what he did last year. I mean, you look from the pro Jalen Hurts side of things. Made the playoffs. He's still technically a rookie quarterback. Those are the big two, right? I think that, sure, we made the playoffs once we decided to take the ball out of his hands less and put up historic rushing numbers. Do I also think that we could put up those historic rushing numbers without having a dual threat quarterback that could confuse and challenge defense like that? Probably not. I think Jalen Hurts is a part of our very good rushing offense last year, but you cannot help but think this was an evaluation year for Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts wasn't a first-round pick. He's a second-round pick. So last year in 2021, while we did make the playoffs, his stats were above average, I guess. 3,100 passing yards, 16 touchdowns to 9 picks. He also went in for almost 800 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. The fact that, well, you're trying to evaluate this guy as your franchise quarterback. There's that point in time last year for the Philadelphia Eagles that Sirianni, I don't know if it was probably Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie and all those guys, made the decision that's like, we need to take the ball out of his hands so that we can start winning football games. And when that happens, in a year where you're trying to decide if this is going to be your guy, that doesn't make you feel a whole lot of confidence, right? And the fact that, usually when it comes to Howie Roseman and all these media stories where there's smoke, there's almost certainly fire for Howie Roseman. And Philadelphia is constantly linked with all these various quarterbacks. I truly do believe that Howie Roseman is picking up the phone, is calling to see what it's going to take to get the Deshaun Watsons, to get the Russell Wilsons, and now apparently maybe the Kyler Murrays, like all these quarterbacks that could potentially be leaving. I am absolutely positive that Howie Roseman is kicking the tires on these quarterbacks. So, closing thoughts on Jalen Hurts, because obviously I want to get to the other quarterbacks and if I think it makes sense and what compensation could look like and who would I prefer. I just think Jalen Hurts is a great guy. He seems like a great leader. He seems like everything that Kyler Murray isn't, that's kind of coming to light right now from the Cardinals. That's what Jalen Hurts is. But there comes a point in time in today's NFL where your quarterback is going, like, you need a good quarterback to win the Super Bowl. You need a good quarterback to go on deep playoff runs. And all I saw was that Bucs game. They literally, there was anytime Philadelphia played a good team. That was the biggest knock against the Eagles making the playoffs last year. It was like, oh, they didn't beat nobody. Well, that's kind of true to a certain degree. We had an easy schedule because we sucked the year before. We played who we could play. But it felt like anytime last year Philadelphia went up against a good team, went up against a legitimate playoff caliber roster, their game plan was to make Jalen Hurts win the game with his arm. And if that is how you are finding ways to lose games, if that is how teams are attacking you, it's like, we're going to make your quarterback play like a quarterback, you don't have a quarterback. You have a running back. You have the meme that Lamar Jackson is. So, if we stick with Jalen Hurts, this is not some public declaration that I am over Jalen Hurts. He is not my quarterback. I'm not here to fill the EDP void of just saying ridiculous things to stir up clicks amongst the Eagles community here on YouTube. If Hurts is our guy next year, he's a terrific player to root for, and I hope that he, all those cliche social media posts, that he grinds and he hustles and he puts in that work and becomes the quarterback that we need. He becomes the second coming of whoever you want to compare him to. Donovan McNabb, I've seen that. That's a ridiculous comp. But hey, sure, why not? Why can't he be Donovan McNabb? Start throwing ducks in the Super Bowl and puking everywhere. Sure, you can become that guy. But I'm behind whoever ends up being our quarterback next year. But in case Howie and the powers that be understand that Jalen Hurts, much like how I believe right now, is kind of at his ceiling, might get a little bit better, but roughly, especially from a quarterback arm talent, anticipation, reading the game, if he's pretty close to his ceiling, I think that's the fairest way to top off this opinion piece on Jalen Hurts in this video, is that I just think ultimately Jalen Hurts is pretty close to his ceiling. I think the people that are pro Hurts are like, well, you think he's done developing? I think he's pretty close. Like, if you told me out of 100% being the final product of Jalen Hurts, there's definitely some people that think he's at 50%. There's some people that think he's going to, grow 4 more inches, and he's going to get, couple extra spin velocities on his throws, and he's going to become Peyton Manning, get some glasses, and be able to read the game like that cone vision in the old Madden. Sure. But in my opinion, I think Jalen Hurts, 100% is finished product. I think he's like 85. He's pretty close to where he's at. So because of that, there's all these other quarterbacks that are linked with Philadelphia. First, we'll just kind of go through Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson, from a talent standpoint, he seems, he's better than Jalen Hurts. He's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. He would be a much better quarterback for Philadelphia than Jalen Hurts, but you have all the off-field things which still have not rectified, and you also have the fact that all reports that we've got so far from the Houston Texans is that they're still asking for a king's ransom from a player that is incredibly sketchy to trade for. So I just think right now, to include Deshaun Watson, because you kind of have to, I don't think there's any way that he becomes a member of the Philadelphia Eagles unless these charges get dropped. And even then, you're going to have What if he's guilty, And I don't know. I don't know if you can ask the Pittsburgh Steelers fans how they moved on from that with Ben Roethlisberger. But I think personally, the biggest hang-up for Deshaun Watson, I can admit right now, right? We can take off the field and just focus on off-field. Deshaun Watson is a drastically better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. But I think the fact that what it would cost to get Deshaun Watson from the Houston Texans, we're talking 2-3 first-round picks, because they don't seem like they're budging on the asking price. I don't know if I could pay that and put that amount of cost, that amount of resources in trust to a quarterback that did what he did. I just think doing what he did, be it, like, if he actually did it, like, it's disgusting. It's absolutely going to change the values probably of your organization or your teammates. You're going to have some people in that locker room that aren't going to agree and not going to like Deshaun Watson for what he did. I just think, like, what Jalen Hurts is exactly what apparently Deshaun Watson isn't off the field, and I just could not trust that much assets that would require to get Deshaun Watson in a quarterback that's, that lack of immaturity, that lack of being a decent human being, apparently. Like, it's just, I'm out on Deshaun Watson. So then you go to Kyler Murray. This is the new one, right? You have Kyler Murray, obviously electrifying quarterback, terrific. He's kind of like a hyper-upped version of Jalen Hurts. You have both quarterbacks are dual threats, but Kyler Murray's just a little bit better of an athlete. I don't want to say a little bit, maybe he's a lot better of an athlete. You have Kyler Murray, better arm talent, I think. But I think ultimately when you compare Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts, both these quarterbacks very inconsistent. Kyler Murray is slight. You have the whole baseball thing for Kyler Murray. You have all these things coming out of Arizona that Kyler Murray maybe wasn't the best leader, maybe not the best locker teammate type guy. And that's exactly where Jalen Hurts excels. So I actually don't think the drop-off between Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray is enough for me to pay whatever the Arizona Cardinals would want for Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, but I don't think it's big enough of a difference to, make that big-time move. Because Kyler Murray, you're talking 2-3 first-round picks, which luckily the Philadelphia Eagles possess. They possess really 4 first-round picks if you include next year, because a lot of times you do throw in future years. I don't think I would pay whatever the Cardinals would want if there is actually some truth to Kyler Murray trades. You look at Kyler Murray last year, 24 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, 400 rushing yards, 5 times. I mean, it's just, it doesn't move the needle enough for me. Like, I think, Kyler Murray, maybe higher ceiling than what Jalen Hurts has. You could pay for that, for that upgrade. You could view that as the investment. But as it stands, I don't think, honestly, I could say, I don't think I would take, I'd rather Jalen Hurts and 3 first-round picks than Kyler Murray and no first-round picks. So that leads us with Russell Wilson. And it needs to be said right now before I even go into this one, because this is the big one. It sounds like he doesn't want to come to Philadelphia. So that needs to be put out there. If he doesn't want to come to Philadelphia, I don't want any situation where it's like Howie and the Seahawks go behind his back and the orchestra get traded, and it's some nonsense to a degree of, like, remember when Antonio Brown was getting traded to the Bills? He's like, I'm going to retire. I don't want to go there. Like, I don't think it would get like that. But that's the territory you start flirting with if you send Russell Wilson to Philly and doesn't really want to be here. But that is the trade I would make. I'll say it right now. Out of all the quarterbacks, if you told me, C4, what's going on? Seems like 2 firsts is what it's going to take to get Russell Wilson, because he doesn't want to be there in Seattle anymore. They're kind of, trapped a little bit. They're not going to be able to get exactly what they feel Russell Wilson is valued at. We've been there before in Philadelphia. We've had players that wanted to get out. That's just kind of the nature of the business. And if you told me, and I've seen hypothetical trades like Pro Football Focus, for whatever it's worth, had a first round this year, a first round next year, and a third rounder this year, or something like that, to get Russell Wilson, I would pay that in a heartbeat. I don't know what Russell Wilson has done to sour the Eagles fan base. Like, he had 40 touchdowns in 2020 when he was healthy. The last year that he was healthy, he got 12 wins, 40. How many rushing touchdowns did he have? He had 42 touchdowns, like 600 rushing. Like, this is Russell Wilson. Like, the only bad reason that I could have any, like, oh yeah, like, you know what, that's a fair complaint against Russell Wilson is just how expensive he's going to be. Right now, Philadelphia is working on the rookie contract for Jalen Hurts. Anytime you have a rookie quarterback contract, it makes it that much more easier to build up the team around him. But that being said, you only go so far with an average quarterback. So it's like, what are we doing here? You got to make that decision of, like, do you surround Jalen Hurts with better talent and just hope that he can put it all together? Sure, that's a fine take to have, because with Jalen Hurts under the roster, you're going to have the funds to get players to surround him with talent. Or Do you get Russell Wilson, who's 33, today's NFL? You know, Russ hasn't really been beat up a whole lot, even though he's a scrambling quarterback, even though he's playing behind garbage offensive lines for 95% of his career in Seattle. I would not say Russell Wilson is looking like he has low tread on the tire. He's not a quarterback that has injury history. You look at this, man, like outside of last year, and even then, he still played 14 games. Like, he has not missed a game until last year. And I don't think that those are issues that are going to be worrying. I don't think that's going to be like, oh, last year's the start of the injury-prone Russell Wilson. So, I think he's the guy, man. He had 40 touchdowns his last healthy season. Do you see any scenario where Jalen Hurts throwing 40 touchdowns? Do you see any scenario where Jalen Hurts becomes a 9-time Pro Bowler, wins the Super Bowl, plays like an MVP candidate? Russell Wilson carried some terribly bad Seattle teams into the playoffs. Really, 2018, 2019, 2020. Last 3 years, he had double-digit wins for Seattle. He was arguably the MVP in the NFL. Arguably. Because he was the one guy that if you took him off their team, those teams would not do a single thing without him. Like, he was the uncrowned MVP for multiple seasons, and now just because he has a down year, you don't want him anymore. You know, I think it would be incredibly foolish to not trade for Russell Wilson. Like, what is it going to cost us? Like, extrapolate this. Tell me right now, if Russell Wilson was going to cost, say we weren't going to be able to kick the can down the road. Seattle says, we want 2 firsts this year and a 3rd next year. Okay. Well, let's just assume Philadelphia keeps their own pick. So you're telling me, and again, if you're on the side of like, I don't want his expensive contract, that's incredibly valid. Because that's the biggest thing that makes me a little bit, you know, not 100% in, both feet in on a Russell Wilson trade. It's like, that is an expensive contract that you guys are going to have to work around, and Philly has some other holes we got to fix, right? But if you told me Russell Wilson's going to take you 2 first-rounders and a 3rd, so the 3rd is what it is. So we essentially are going to be giving up what we got for Carson Wentz and what we got for trading down from Jalen Waddle to Devontae Smith. We give up those 2 things, Carson Wentz and what we got from Jalen Waddle to Devontae Smith, to get Russell Wilson. Like, I honestly think that's, like, how can you not want that? How can you not see what Jalen Hurts is, what Russell Wilson is, and you still have Jalen Hurts on the roster? He could be your backup. He could be your service. What if Russell Wilson, worst case scenario, 2021, where he got injured, had that surgery, played on, I don't know what it was, shoulder, arm, something like that. Maybe if it is, you still have Jalen Hurts behind him. You don't have to get rid of Jalen Hurts. He's still on a rookie deal. Still a very cheap quarterback. You could ship out Gardner Minshew and recoup back a couple more draft assets for this year because you're giving up those first rounders. And you still have your first rounder this year and your first rounder next year. You're just back to where you began. Invest on the defense with both of those picks. With a first rounder this year, get an edge, get a DB. You know, first rounder next year, whatever you want to do, get another wide receiver to make some plays like that. Howie Roseman had a great draft in 2021, so maybe you can continue to build on that and hit on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round picks. As we close this video out, I will say this: if Russell Wilson becomes available, if you're an Eagles fan, and we can get Russell Wilson for 2 first round picks this year, if we can get Russell Wilson for essentially Carson Wentz and what we got from trading down from Jalen Waddle to Devontae Smith, and you say no, casual. You're a casual fan. That's all I can say. That's all I can say, honestly. That's my personal opinion. I think of all these quarterback rumors, I would take Jalen Hurts over Kyler Murray. I would take Jalen Hurts over any quarterback in this year's draft class. I would take Jalen Hurts over Deshaun Watson, given the context. But if Russell Wilson is truly available, we get Russell Wilson. You get Russell Wilson. Hey, he's the kind of guy, too. He comes in. There's going to be a lot out of Philadelphia. Free agents might, hey, you know what? I might take a little less long-term money. Maybe a little less of a cap hit to come join Russell Wilson here in Philadelphia. It's just, I don't know, man. That's just my thoughts on it. To close it out here, I don't want this video to go on too much longer. I want to hear what you guys think about the Eagles quarterback situation. Who do you want? Who do you think's the guy? I tried to explain my feeling to understand. I want to understand, because I feel like you're either pro Jalen Hurts and Jalen Hurts is my guy, I'm not touching anything, or you're open-minded and you hate Jalen Hurts. I want to try to just be that middle of understanding. It's like, you know, I think at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts is very close to his ceiling, and it's not good enough. Teams just make Jalen Hurts play a quarterback, and that is how they want to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And Russell Wilson is still a very good quarterback, and we still keep our first-round pick. We still have premium draft assets. We just don't have what we got for Carson Wentz. and what we got from Jalen down, from Jalen Waddle, to Devontae Smith. And we have a little less salary cap, but hey, we got the cap wizard, High Roastman, right? He can make it work. But that'll do for me today, guys. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. We'll have plenty more Combine content coming this week, so make sure you guys stay tuned. As always, first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoyed. Until next time, it's C4, say peace out.